Welcome everyone to my channel. If you haven't been here before, Pulpacy, sit down. We're going to talk about Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, the second book in the Farseer trilogy, and the technical third book in the realm of the Elderling series. So yeah, we've gotten somewhere. Young Fitz chivalry becomes a catalyst that will alter the course of a royal house in grave peril in this thrilling tale of the seaside kingdom of the Six Duchies. Royal Assassin. Fitz has survived his first hazardous mission as King's Assassin, but is left little more than a cripple, battered and bitter. He vows to abandon his oath to King Shrewd, remaining in the distant mountains, but love and events of terrible urgency draw him back to the court at Buckkeep and into the deadly intrigues of the royal family. Renewing their vicious attacks on the coast, the Red Ship raiders leave burned-out villages and demented victims in their wake. The kingdom is also under assault from within, as treachery threatens the throne of the ailing king. In this time of great danger, the fate of the kingdom may rest in Fitz's hands, and his role in its salvation may require the ultimate sacrifice. Dun 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 dun. I listened to this for 3 days. 2 days? 2 days, I think it is. Or 3. I don't know. I don't remember when I started it, okay? I think I started it Tuesday. So 2 days. I think that's what it is. But it's just going great. I love it. I'm eager to read more. Or listen to more, technically. So the beginning, of course, of this is it's a future. This is like a future passage of what shit's happened already within Fitz's life, and he's writing a book about knowledge of magics in it. This is what you get in the very beginning. It's something there. And then it literally has no real smooth passage into the past, but it does go into the past back, where right after he had been severely injured by Regal and Ketterkin, and he's set bedridden. So he was poisoned by Ketterkin, Princess Ketterkin, and Prince Regal. And then he almost drowned. So he's very sick. He's sick beyond sick. And I just realized you guys can't really see me that well. Well, here. Have some more brightness to me. He stays in the mountains at Princess Ketterkin's home while she goes back with Regal to marry King Verity, which that happens, and he's not there because he's healing. He is healing. He is beyond healing. He is healing, and he is convalescing, and he is just there. And he decides that he's done with everything, and he wants nothing to do with anything because he's not healing, and he's not feeling better, and he's coming over with seizures and shakes, and he's weak, and he can't do nothing besides eat, sleep, and do very little things. And so he says, "You can leave without me, Birch. Go home. I have nothing. I'm doing nothing." And then he falls asleep. And when he wakes up in Buckkeep with the Fool. He doesn't realize it, but we obviously do after a while. He's actually seeing events in Buckkeep that between the Fool and King Shrewd. And it's really weird how he's sharing the skill. It's the skill, of course, and he's inside Shrewd's mind. And Shrewd goes on to see a vision of Silt Bay being attacked by the Red Ship raiders. that happened. King Shrewd, of course, figured it out, and Fitz denies it. He's like, because at one point he's like, oh, this must be a dream. And the fool who's there, who's conversing with Fitz, because sometimes Fitz is talking and sometimes King Shrewd is talking, is just a little confused about a lot of things. But King Shrewd is ill and failing and dying. And in this vision of the Red Ship Raiders, he sees Molly. And then he's very concerned because when it breaks off, he doesn't see who Molly is, and he's trying to figure out if she lived or died. Because he's very, very worried about it. And then King Shrewd talks to him for a bit, for like very briefly. So, boy, there you are. And then he's gone. And he wakes up, and he's like, when Birch came to bid me farewell, I went with him. Yeah, he went back. Now, it took them a while to get back because Birch sat there and went off the main roads because he was afraid that Regal was going to try something else to get to him if he was staying on the main roads. So, they hear conversations about Silt Bay and everything on their way back, and they hear about how nobody likes King Shrewd or Prince Verity, and it's just all about Prince Regal. So when he gets back, he literally goes to report to Verity, and then when he's denied Verity, he goes to his room and collapses to go to sleep. When he wakes up, he feels a bit better, and he goes to get dressed, and he had every intention of leaving Buckkeep to go see about finding Molly in some way, shape, or form. But he gets waylaid, and then he goes turn around to go back to his room to find a winter coat, because he went and got some food, so he was going to go back and get his winter coat, right? But he was waylaid by Prince Verity, who called him with a skill to come to him up in the tower. And then he followed him down after seeing his ships and hearing about how he was building them. They went downstairs to his office and they talked. They talked all day about what happened from the time he left Buckbeat to the time he came back. And he didn't leave anything else. And Prince Verity grilled him on everything from every angle to figure out everything. And Fitz says, what can happen? What's going to happen with King Regal, who did all this bad stuff? And Verity's like, we don't have any proof, and so we can't really accuse him of it, even though we know what he did. And he's like, oh. Okay. And then Verity's like, well, you're sick, you're tired, go to bed and rest. We'll talk more after your day of resting. Because he asked for a day off the next day because he wanted to go do his own errands, which is basically go find Molly. He did tell Regal that he wanted to go see about a woman in Silt Bay because he wanted to make sure she was alive. And what should happen? He's on his way back, and Lacey, who is the maid or lady in waiting or whatever to Lady Patience, who was going to be once going to be queen, you know, his father's wife, brings him to her, and Lady Patience gives him a beat down that he didn't really deserve, and then she finally realizes that, yeah, he was sick. He was sick. And then he drops wine all over himself and all over the floor, and he goes to try to clean it up, and they're like, no, go to bed. So he's stumbling back to his room, and when he goes to walk up the stairs, he almost falls. So somebody catches him, and she's asking where to, and he says, up these stairs. And she's like, okay, now where are you? And he goes, where? But you want to go upstairs more? The servant quarters is upstairs on the second floor. And he's like, no, third door. And she's like, you're the bastard. And that's when he looks up and he sees that it's Molly. So Molly is there. Molly tells her story. And he figures out a lot of things. So Molly is actually taken in with Fitz and wanted to be with Fitz. But she thought that Fitz was an apprentice to the scribe. Or an errand boy. Fitz never told her otherwise. Because he didn't want her to look at him like the prince's bastard. Because that's what he is. And she's like, well, when my father died, I didn't know my dad had left behind a massive debt, and now I'm in debt, and I have to pay off this debt, because they're coming for me for it. And she's like, I went to my cousin, and the cousin said, well, let's go bring you to my older brother, and we'll see what we can do. And his older brother, her cousins, lived in Silt Bay. And they were her nieces. So he actually saw her with her nieces and being in that. But they all survived. All of Molly's family survived. She survived. But they couldn't pay her. So she worked her way on a fisherman's boat back down to Buckkeep to try to get to Fitz. Saying, oh, New Boy was my friend. New Boy can help me out. New Boy can lend me some money. And then when she gets there, lo and behold, he's not there. Lady Patience, who she finally gets sent to, because she talked to somebody who sent her to Fedrin, who's the scribe, who sent her to Lady Patience, hired her as a maid. And now she's meeting Fitz and learning that Fitz is a bastard, and she thinks that Fitz doesn't love her, that he abandoned her, that he's a drunk because he's fucking ill as fucking Tosh. But he's so excited that she's alive and she's there, and he realizes that he may have fucked up and he doesn't want to let her go, but because he has no strength left after this wearisome day that he did too much activities of, he fell the fuck asleep. And that's where I'm at. Now, you would think after listening to about 3 hours, I'd be further in this book, but I'm on page 73, chapter 4, Dilemmas. Now, the reason why that is because this is a thick, heavy book, and it's like condensed, okay? It's like a Stephen King book, and it's condensed, but Robin Hobb does a fantastic job of writing, and I have read this before, and I'm so excited to read it again. I've actually don't really remember a lot of shit that happened in it, of how long ago I read it, so I kind of snuck to the back to see what some of the shit was, because I was just looking to see how many chapters it was. As you can see, I'm trying to lift by my chapters. These are all the chapter breaks, so that way I can just read to the end of a chapter and not have to worry about it. But yeah, some things that I didn't remember happened. But we'll discuss that stuff later on. I am extremely happy to be back into this. I can't wait to continue reading this every single day. Hour and a half to an hour a day. We're going to be doing some good old listening, because this is like a 30-hour, and it's like March 11th. So I've got less than 20 days to get through this, but I know with what I have the scheduled of an hour and a half a day every single day, I should be able to get through this no problem. And the reason why I say I should definitely get through this is because I can actually listen to more of it if I really wanted to, and I may, because I haven't started it yet. I've started The Queen of Nothing, but I haven't started this one. But this is my controversy book, okay? If I don't like this book, then that frees up like a week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. 9 days of reading. It will free me up 9 days. So I'm hoping I like the book. But if I don't, really don't. Because I liked An Ember in the Ashes. I liked it. I didn't love it. I didn't enjoy as much as I thought I was going to. So, this one, I'm hoping I enjoy more than I did the first one. And the only reason, I'm going to admit this again, the only reason why I wanted to read this was because of the title of the third book, which is A Reaper at the Gates. That's literally the only reason why I wanted to read this series, was because of the third book title. That's the reason why I'm reading Firecaster by Cindy Chima Williams, I think it is. No, Cindy Williams Chima. That's the only reason why, and it's because of a title of a book. It's like, I want to read it because of that title. It sounds cool as fucking hell. Sounds like it's gonna be a good book. So we'll see. We'll see what I like and what I enjoy. This one's an up in the air type of deal thing. I've already pulled my TBR for April, and there's 3 books in that one that are up in the air, and that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold series by Kawaguchi, the Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole, and of course the Sarah J. Maas's book, A Court of Thorns and Roses, ACOTAR. Those are up in the air. If I don't like them, that's some series I'm going to DNF. Same with Torch Against the Night. But if I do like them, that means that's series I'm going to continue to read. So, this is me trying to branch out besides what I normally read, and see where my thoughts and feelings are on things. I do know that historical fiction is an iffy subject for me. I do know nonfiction, unless it's Japan or Egypt, it's a no for me. So there are some things I have a hard line of. Sci-fi now, I thought I was reading sci-fi at one point when I was reading the Neon Ghost series, the first book, which is Sin, but that has vampires in it, so that kind of threw sci-fi almost out the window. There's a dystopian I'm reading, but of course it has killer bees and a spiritual being that comes out at one point towards the end, so that's not exactly, sci-fi dystopian. Neon Genesis Evangelion is definitely sci-fi, but it also has angels that descend from heaven to kill people. Or from hell. I don't know where they come from. Nobody actually really knows. So, there's certain things that I like and certain things that I don't like. And I'm finding my niche in what I like and what I don't like. And so these new books that I'm getting as authors I haven't read before, authors I haven't tried before, for the most part. And I'm hoping I enjoy them. I'm back with more about this royal assassin. So it's starting to pick up a little bit of pace. Robin Hobb likes to take her time getting into the real gritty, nitty details of all the things that are going on within the story. So we're finally picking up some details. Okay, so in this, Fizz actually gets woken up. Well, he wakes up and Lacey's there. Well, first it's a fool, and then it's Lacey, and then it's Patience, and Patience is like lecturing him about how you need to stay away from Molly. You can't be doing all this stuff. It'll look bad. It would be terrible. You gotta wait. You can't approach her. Don't do it because you are going to make everything worse for Molly. Right now, you cannot. Later on, down the line, as you pretend to get to know her, yeah, you can then do it. But until I say otherwise, do not approach her, do not talk to her, do not do anything, sending no messages or what the fuck ever. So, he mopes. And he mopes. And he mopes. And he mopes. Languishing. And then he gets a talking to, I think, if I remember correctly, from Burge. And so he decides to start doing things, setting him tasks, and getting out there and being active and all that lovely, wonderful things. And then he finds a wolf cub being mistreated, buys it for like 6 coppers, and then brings it back up to Buckkeep, puts it into an abandoned hut, and takes care of it. His plan for this wolf cub is to simply get it strong enough and teach it how to hunt, so that way he can release it into the wild and be done with it. Because he doesn't want to bond, and he's trying his motherfucking hardest not to bond with this wolf, because he doesn't want the wolf to die. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to the wolf. He doesn't want to have any correlations, because he's just tired. He's already had 2 that he bonded with die, and he doesn't want no more. So he's trying. But the wolf cub keeps intruding into his thoughts all the fucking time. At the same time, they learn that the forge ones are literally coming out of the woodworks and heading for Buckkeep. And so he's tasked by the king to go out and kill the forge ones without actually killing them. And so that's basically what he does. He goes out, he drops poisoned food and stuff, they eat it, and it kills them, and then he catalogs it all, and he reports back to Rarity, to Shrewd. Of course, at one point throughout this, Shrewd's guards get dismissed, and Wallace, who's definitely in Regal's pocket, is the only one taking care of him. And Wallace is young and doesn't do stuff, and he's trying to hang around and listen in when he shouldn't be. Really irritating. King Shrewd's mind is going. Pretty sure it's because he's being poisoned some way, shape, or form, but nobody can figure it out. And so he keeps repeating things that he thinks are important, that Fitzchivalry should be doing. People are likening him more and more to Prince Chivalry, because he's growing up to look more and more like Prince Chivalry, because he is definitely Prince Chivalry's son. Oh, yes, he was also sent out to deal with somebody named Vergago or something like that. She's a weird-ass person. This person was talking terribly about, let's see, where is her name? Virago. So she's pretending to go back, she's going back to the old ways, and she's being really, really almost traitorously to the king and everything, and trying to get people on her side, because she wants to usurp the kingdom and get rid of the Farseer line, because she thinks that them and their line corrupted everything, and that they're being punished by the land and gods and goddesses and the elderlings because of what they're doing. So she wants to go back to the old days where everybody did everything for themselves, which is basically the same thing as Junpei, is what people in Japan do. Then he's told to call upon Ketchikan all the time, like, because she has nothing to do, and she's like not working as a queen should. So he goes and he speaks to her, and she admits that she's not used to everybody doing everything for her and her not doing her part to help. And he's like, well, there are things you can do. And he chastises her, saying, you have ladies in waiting who are doting upon you, and you're not doing anything for them. You're not building up the circle within the castle anymore. You're not drawing people to your husband to support you and your husband. And so she decides that that's what she's going to do. She's going to start doing her queenly duties that she has within Bucky. And then she decides, which Regal definitely does not fucking like, is to draw everybody up, knights and everything, because of the forge. And she's like, we're not going out there to slaughter. We're going out there to reclaim our dead. Because they already took their hearts, were just laying their bodies to rest. And we're going to bring them back, and we're going to identify every single one of them, and we're going to let their families know about it, and we're going to send them off in a worthy funeral. We are going to mourn them. And then after we are done mourning them, we are going to strike back at these red strip raiders and stop attacking us. And she inspires the people, and they do it. And it's like a mournful thing. And even King Shrewd's in on it. And Verity's very happy to be on it. And Regal's like, all like, she's making me look bad. Bitch, you should have thought of it first, but you didn't. Instead, you tried to kill her by riding out at night to show her something, and then making the people run ahead, the guards and everything go ahead, and then when you guys get attacked, you're nowhere around, and she's fending off all these freaking forged. But the soldiers rally around her, and your scheme didn't work. So now she's still alive, and know you're trying to prevent her from getting pregnant. So that way Verity's line is secured. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Slap you on the face. Bitch, bitch, bitch. You're an ass. Nobody will do anything either. They all know Regal is trying to do stuff, but nobody will do anything. King Shrewd, who got an apology from Regal for attacking Fitz and poisoning him, made Fitz promise not to kill Regal. So he agrees to it, though he doesn't want to, but he does it anyways, because he's a king's man, and that's what they do. You agree with your king. You don't go against your king in any way, shape, or form. So after the funeral for all of the forged ones, King Shrewd sits there and tells somebody to tell, is it Verity or Shade? I'm not sure which one. Shade. Which one it is that he tells, because I don't remember. Tell Fitz that he has to call upon Ketchikan again, because he's afraid that something bad's going to happen to Ketchikan because of what she did, and he knows it's Regal, but he's not going to do shit about it. Can't kill his own son, can't imprison his son, can't do nothing. Ooh. And Verity slapped the hell out of Regal and sat there and said, "You will not insult the king in waiting. The king in waiting will not allow you to insult the queen in waiting." And he was like, "Father will hear about my father." Your father? He's also Verity's father. Are you that dumb that you don't know? He'll hear about this. And he's like, go ahead, tell him. Because Verity will obviously go and tell him as well everything that is happening. That what happened, why he slapped him. Which he fucking deserved. Okay? He deserved that. He deserved it 100%. So, Shade tells him to warn Ketchikan, to warn Patience, to warn Lacey, to warn Burridge somehow, and to warn Molly about the dangers of being attached to Fitz. Because obviously Fitz is a target as well. Because if Verity dies before he has an heir, and Regal becomes king in waiting, and they find out his schemes, then Fitz, though he's a bastard, would be next in line for the throne. And obviously, Regal doesn't want that, because nobody wants a bastard on the throne, even though why he didn't just adopt him and make him legal? Beyond me. It's beyond me on that point. So he's like, oh my god, Molly. So he goes to check on Molly. And he sits there and breaks into her fucking room. Like, Fitz. Sorry, I'm having a little issue with sinuses because hot, cold weather. It was like 80 degrees a couple of days ago, and now it's like in the 40s again. So my nose is kind of like killing me on that side. But anyways, he breaks into Molly's room, and from there, They have a conversation. And he finally admits to her that he loves her. And she admits to him that she loves him. And they kiss. Oh my god, they fucking kiss. I mean, he's only like 15 years old, and she's like 17, 18 years old, and yeah, but, he's such an idiot. He's such an idiot, because now they're going to try and find time to kiss and smooch and all that shit, and I've read more of Royal Assassin, and by read more, I mean, like, do you see that big gap right there? That's how much I've read. Listened to. Several days. Possibly a week. Really? A lot of shit happens, and some of it is just, like, weird. We find out that Molly was warned away from Fitz, of course. Obviously, that was in the last time we did this. No. So he doesn't visit Molly again after the first time. But then we realize that she also stays away from him because the Prince Regal had started visiting her and started talking to her and started telling her to distance herself from him because there was going to be a bunch of bad stuff if she didn't. And then he started giving her little trinkets as payment for candles that she made and all that stuff. Katrina is coming into herself in a weird way. Trying to remember where I left off so I don't sit there and repeat shit. Because like I said, a lot of stuff does happen. The Fool actually sits there and tries to get Fitz more into activity and everything because people think that, Fitz doesn't do exactly what he's supposed to do because he's supposed to be an assassin and he's supposed to know a lot of stuff. And he's been very lax when Shade leaves to go on a mission after he kills off his Lady Time persona. He, laxes in it, like completely laxes in it. He also finds a wolf. He starts nursing it back to health. And he's sitting there telling the cub, well, I'm only going to nurse you back to health. And then I'm going to release you. I'm not going to keep you. It's not my job. We're not going to bond. But the wolf warms its way into his heart to the point to where when he gets attacked by forged ones on his way home from trying to abandon the wolf, they fight together. And that's when he gives him his name. The wolf's name is Night Eyes. His mother gave it to him because he was the last one to open up his eyes. Fitz pursues Molly, and then promises Molly that I'm going to ask King Shrewd for permission to marry you. That's when Fitz realizes, after he finally gets the time to do so, that King Shrewd has already promised his hand to another. Duke Broady's daughter, Celerity, has shown favoritism towards Fitz, and thus wants to marry him. And so he wants, the Duke Brody says, okay, yeah, you can marry Fitzgerald, the Farseer, even though he's a bastard and he's not claimed no title, he's no prince or anything like that. And so she's like, I'll give you a land, I'll give you a title, I'll give you a home, and your future wife will have all that stuff, and you will do this. But you're not going to court her right now because her older sisters are not promised to another. And he wants to wait until then. When he tries to tell him otherwise, King Shrewd shuts it down. But King Shrewd's in and out, so he's not always there. King Regal and his little Commandant Wallace, who pretends to be a healer, who pretends to be concerned about everything, is making things worse and worse and worse for King Shrewd. So between him and Prince Regal, they are slowly killing off King Shrewd. Prince Verity doesn't have no proof, nor does anybody else, so they can't really do anything about it. So they're in a locked stalemate. Verity does build his ships, and they do start going out, and they do their first successful raid, protect the near islands from the raiders, completely destroying off their tower. But that's their only win. Other than that, the red ship crew wins. They win. they win like 100% all the fucking time. And it's really annoying for Fitz and Chivalry because they're trying to protect their people, but Regal is like not giving a shit, and he's siphoning money, I know he is, from Buckkeep to ensure that Buckkeep goes down the drain. He's ruining Buckkeep for his own lovely plans. Ketcherton is trying to get in with her husband to get favors and everything like that. So Shade tells Fitz to tell King Verity to give her his mother's garden, so that way she has something to do, because Ketcherton loves gardening. And so she starts doing that to try to win favors with her husband, but that doesn't really work out. Now they do share some passionate time together, just like he and Molly, Fitz and Molly does. It's not as much as she wants, because he's always skilling out towards his ships. He's always skilling with Fitz, building up Fitz's ability. No, ma'am. Fitz's ability to skill, while he's also very much entrenched in with Night Eyes. What other important stuff happens? Not really a whole lot. A lot of it's just the buildup of it, the expanding on it, and everything. They decide, well, Verity does, after a bunch of research into the Outerlings, realizes that he believes that they're alive and they're well, and that they will come to him if they call for aid. So he's going to the Rain Wilds to get aid from the king. He's left to go to the Rain Wilds, not to get the king, but to sit there and plead to the Elderlings to help them with a raid ship of raiders and the forging, because that's what he believes would be the best thing. So, like, literally all of this is just fluff for what's really gonna start happening, and it's just a buildup of everything. Like his whole attachment to Molly, his wanting to marry Molly, his bringing Night Eyes up to where he could be left alone, but Night Eyes and them don't split up. They actually start bonding deeply and they become brothers. Fitz goes back out and starts killing more Forge. Ketchigan, if I remember correctly, actually tries wandering out, and then she gets her own lovely little guards, because she tries to go to where Verity is because she wants to be around Verity, and Verity sometimes went down to his ship, so she actually wandered out alone without any guards or anything to protect her, and she almost gets attacked. So Fitz, who found her, brought her back, and she was miserable for a long time until she got the Queen's Garden that she could fix up. So yeah, she gets a guard. A couple guards decide out of Verity's guards that they're going to become the Queen's Guard because they need it, and they want permission from Verity, but they ask Fitz to ask him for permission, which he doesn't actually get around doing. So, but Verity finds out about it anyways and agrees to it. Who are part of the whole coterie are most likely not telling Verity shit. They're probably telling Prince Regal, because Galen, who taught them, is related to Regal and not Verity. And he only got his position as a skill instructor, skill master, because when the Queen died, he was the only one left that had the powers and abilities for it. Yeah, so there's that. Also, the Fool tries to get Fitz to understand that things are going bad with King Shrewd, and every time Fitz goes to visit King Shrewd, he's worse and worse and worse. At one point, he tries to barge in and fix things, open up windows, air out all this herbs and stuff that actually make him sick, very sick. Yeah, clean up plates, and then try to get Wallace in trouble for not doing his job right, and Regal in trouble for not doing his job right. And so Ketchikan starts calling on the king more often and cleaning things up and making sure things are better for him for a little while to try to get things going okay, because they all know Regal is killing off the king. So, like I said, there's a lot that's going on, but it's really just pushing the story more towards what's going to happen. The rest of the story is going to have a a lot of stuff happen from now on, and it's going to be more action-packed than what it has been. Fitz did see a white ship that nobody else saw, and used his wit to push a guy off from it, and then he was told in a weird way that white ships, normally seen as ghostly and everything like that, he read about it, is for those who are going to have their own death in the future. And it's for sailors who fall into the water and die, and they have to sit there and live aboard that boat, suffering for eternity. Never able to go to land and stuff, because they died on sea. So Regal is throwing parties and being extravagant while saying we ain't got no money for anything, when he finds out about what town was it that got 70 forged that they're trying to protect? It was Ferry. So Ferry got attacked, and they found out about it, and Regal, who was there and received the message and not King Shrewd, sat there and said, we don't have no money for it, we don't have no ships for it, we have nothing for it, I'm very sorry, but there's nothing we can do. And he's like, King Broady's going to have to take care of Burns himself, he's always been able to loan her and all that stuff. And she's like, Catrigan's like, I don't know what to do about this, because I just found out about it through gossip, and Fitz is like, I found out about it through gossip too. So he's like, talk to the king about it, see what he says, and everything. And then Fitz goes down to the stable where a guy from Tith is trying to take horses that aren't signed by the king, and he's like, you have to have this signed by the king or the queen in waiting, because their marks are it. It is owned, the horses and everything in this stable, everything that is in this stable is owned by the king. Nobody else owns the stuff but the king. The king is the only one who can give stuff away, or the queen in waiting, or the king in waiting. And so he's like, you have to have their marks. There's nothing else I can do about it. And Hans is like, well, what happens if Burge comes back and finds out that I've given away, a fowl, because there was one pregnant, and there's like, he had plans for that fowl. He's like, you were just doing your job. If the king has marks on it, there's nothing you can do but give it away. If it's just Prince Regals, you do nothing. But there's nothing we can do, because we have to obey the king, because, we are king's men. Then he gets summoned up by Catrigan again, and she tells him about how King Regal interrupted her when she was trying to talk to King Shrewd, and King Shrewd didn't know what was going on, and he just powerhoused his way through everything. So Fitz is going to go to call upon him. And while he's got Verity in his head, while he's away, Verity's connection gets stronger whenever Catrigan is around. So yeah, he does actually have feelings for his lovely wife. It's just very little. Fitz almost makes a faux pas after he gets drunk because of the success of... No, not the success. Because of how he got poisoned by the stuff that King Shrewd had been inhaling. The faux pas was almost having sex with some woman that's not Molly. And Patience had stopped him from doing that. Also, he got really drunk after the success of the first raid against the first attack against the Red Ship Raiders, and went to try to get with Molly on it. And she's like, I don't want to kiss a drunk. I don't want to bed a drunk. I'm never going to. So he gets turned away, and he regrets it. And so the next time his crew goes to get drunk, he doesn't go with them. And so he tries to split his time between all the stuff he has to do while he's on the ship with the crew. So he tries to do everything, including being available for Shade, being with Molly, having time with Night Eyes, visiting King Shrewd, visiting Catrigan. Also, he pushes Patience to go visit Catrigan. I don't remember if anything came of it. Not really, because it doesn't say nothing more on it. So that's a little curious about why that happened. Not exactly sure. Oh yes, King Shrewd actually originally said no to him going out to find the Elderlings, but Regal kind of sort of talked him into it, and then started pinning like a bunch of blame on Verity, because Verity's not there to dispute it. So there is absolutely nothing that can be done about that. So yeah, Verity is being trashed by his brother while his brother's not even there. While he's not even there, you know? Also, Verity gives Fitz, for protecting his wife, a sword. Very new sword. Fitz failed to save a little child. So what happened was that Night was just like, I saw these 3 forged in this area, and Fitz is like, well, I'm going to go out hunting for them. So Verity comes along inside his mind, and he goes out to go hunting for them. And then they hear a scream, and he goes after it, and there's a little girl being fought between all 3 of them. They're tugging on her, and at one particular harsh tug, her neck snaps, and she dies. But Fitz doesn't register that at first, and he goes into a frenzy to try and fight them off. And Night Eyes has to come along and save him from like a smith. Burridge, Verity, and a bunch of other people show up afterwards because he lost Verity in his mind, and they found a woman who was running around looking for her daughter. Turns out that she just left her daughter on her stoop while she went to go water, and when she came back, her daughter was gone. Also, he went berserk when they went to go save the towers that were being attacked for the first time with the ship that he got onto. It was their first attempt to save a bunch of people from being forged and everything. And he went to berserk because all of the emotions and everything flooded into him through the wit, and it just consumed him, their anger and rage, and he just went nuts. Went nuts over it. And lost connection with both Night Eyes and Verity. Night Eyes did tell him that he had a hard time trying to get into Fitz's mind because it was closed off and it was difficult most of the time to even budge into it. So Fitz's mind, which was ruined by Galen, is very much difficult for anybody to penetrate. But it's getting easier for Verity and Fitz to communicate with the skill. It's getting easier for him in Night Eyes as time with the connection goes on. Now, a lot of stuff still needs to happen within the story, so we're going to see what's going to be happening in the future with all of that. I'm trying to think also of anything else that is going on within it, but not a lot really happens that I haven't already talked about. Yeah, I basically talked about everything that we need to be talking about. We're going to continue with things going downhill within Buckkeep. We're going to continue with Regal trying to take over everything. And we're also going to take more stuff about Fitz Mainland that has all of that stuff. So it's heating up in a way that it's good. I mean, like, I can't say it's not been a good listen. I love how Robin Hobb does her books. I should really put this over here, actually. You know what I should do? Wrong way. Should do this, so that way you can see this. Robin Hobb does really good with her storytelling, really does good with her creativity and how she builds her characters up. Because Fitz character is still growing. He's still going. He's only 15 in the beginning of this story. Well, this one. The first book is him from what he can remember going on and up. Because you gotta remember, he is writing his story decades later. As he's really old and can't do nothing, he's writing stories about what... So he's only 15 and he's not a man and he's growing and he's still learning and he's still adjusting to his life. Some people treat him like royalty, like Ketchikan treats him like he's an equal. And others treat him like he's trash, which is what Prince Regal does. And Verity treats him like he should be the king in waiting instead of him. Because he's like, I wish my brother was still alive. I wish you were his legitimate child. And all that stuff. Molly finds out because Fitz tells her about his King Shrewd arrangement. And he's like, I don't want to marry anyone but you. Shade comes back and tis him for not keeping up with all the information and everything that he needs to keep up with. So, yeah. Anyways. We will continue when I've listened to more of this, we are really getting into the ballpark of it. We are on 20, and I think there's like 30 some odd, 34. So yeah, we're getting there. Okay, guys. Hi. Elephant in the room. I did something to my wrist. What it is, no clue. Whatever. Went to the doctors. They think it's one or two things. But if the pain don't go away, then I'm gonna have to get X-rays done. So let's just hope the pain goes away in like a week. Yeah. Okay. So back to book. I finished the book, by the way. I finished Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb, the second book in the first year trilogy. Okay, so the mishaps. Well, Duke Burns comes to talk to him, and Fitz has got no answers for Duke Burns, for Ketchikan to tell Duke Burns, because Regal interrupts his conversation with Shrewd, and he doesn't even get a chance to ask about Molly either. I'm pretty sure we haven't gotten that. Gotten to that part. But anyways, so stuff happens. Or did he already not talk about Molly? Oh yeah, I already knew about Sorority. Sorry. So when Duke Burns arrives, he gets a whole lot of fluff, lies, stuff that doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. Ketchikan says, I wish I could have done more, but I didn't get no message about it until it was too late. I'm sorry. Fitz is in on the conversation. They go up to the Queen's Garden where nobody can do anything. And they have this lovely, wonderful conversation. And she gives him the jewels off from her body. The jewelry off from her body to pay to rebuild the damaged town for the people that were there. And basically gets told by Regal that Duke Burns is going to worry about Duke Burns' territory without the help of the king or Buckkeep or anything like that. I didn't know they still went to church on Wednesdays. My bad. Things are progressing in this. The king, though he is gone, technically in his mind, he's not that far gone. He's just hiding from everything. Let's get to the real thing, okay? So here's the gist of what happens. I'm not gonna actually look through it all. The message comes down. The Neat Bay is being attacked. It's from Shade. Shade's sister says you gotta rouse the king and tell him to go send help. So Fitz arouses the king from sleep, gets him to agree to send help to Neat Bay on his orders. Regal's there, Ketchikan's there, I think Ketchikan's there, the Fool's there, Wallace is there. Well, not Ketchikan's there, but Ketchikan is aroused. So Regal hears it, Wallace hears it, a bunch of guards hear it. It's how the King Shrew tells Fitz, go to Neat Bay, save them. So Queen, Burge, Fitz, they all leave. But of course, Fitz gets held behind, and the guard's like, oh, Fitz can't leave. And then Burge is like, you saying that your orders come from someone higher than the Queen in waiting herself? We're going. They don't stand in the way. They get to leave. Yay! Gets there. Along the way, Burge finds out about him bonding with Night Eyes. They get there, the fighting happens, and Fitz goes berserk and fights along with Night Eyes, and then they're resting up against a well. A little girl sees Fitz. Now, what the little girl saw was a wolf turning into a man. That's what she saw. But what she really saw was the wolf running away and Fitz being the only one there. Because Fitz was always there. Fitz wasn't a wolf turning into a man or whatever she thought she saw. But, she was scared and ran away. Though that's not what happened. But it comes back. That's important. Okay. So, her guards find out that Queen Ketchikan is pregnant. A bunch of people find out that Ketchikan is pregnant. It gets spread around. So now Regal knows about it. And guess what Regal does? Is he sends out some people to meet the party on their way back from Neat Bay with the news that Verity is dead. Fitz doesn't believe it. Burge doesn't believe it. But Ketchikan does. So, Burge convinces Fitz to skill with Shrewd to see if Verity is alive. Ketchikan is there. Burge is there. Fitz is there. Shrewd is there. The Fool is there. Verity's alive. Confirmed. But now the king is being interrogated by his own son, and well, bad things are happening between him and Molly and all this stuff. Because Molly's like, I don't want to be anybody who's not there for me, for me. You're the king's man, but you're not putting me first. You're not putting us first. You're putting him first. And then you're going to put the queen first and their son first. And you're never going to put us first. A lot more stuff does happen. And it happens in an almost rapid succession. So, the queen comes down. They're having a party for defeating the people at Neat Bay. Shrewd is there. Queen Ketchikan is there. She's cut off her hair. And then Regal sits there and says, you're going to go with us down to, what is it? It's into the inland. You're going to go to Tur Lake, which is inland within the Tilth, right? So that's where he's like, we're gonna go there, the king, and you, and Ketchikan's like, well, I'm gonna stay here where my king in waiting put me. And then Shrewd's like, don't leave me. It's like, say, you're coming with us. That's why all this bad stuff is being taken out of Buckkeep. Patience is being left behind. Fitz is being left behind. Lacey's being left behind. Burge is being left behind. All of his good prize horses and things that he breeded were taken. Okay, Sooty and Ruddy, the Burge and Fitz's horses, were not taken. He hid them. But they're probably gone by now. I don't know if he's got them still. But, Fitz can't leave again because, the tightness on it because of what Regal has. He finds out that Will is following him around, trying to get into his mind. And then, the day they're going to Shade, Burge, are going to, along with Fitz, are going to, whisk off the king and Ketchikan to safety so they don't go with the Regal, because Regal's obviously going to end both the Queen in Waiting's child and Shrewd, because that's what his plans are. Things hit the fan. And what I mean by things hit the fan is that Wallace is not in King Shrewd's room. He goes in there. He tries to convince the king to come with me. King's like, nope, I'm not doing that. Let me go and talk to Verity. The talks to Verity. Verity knows that he's dying, knows all about everything that is happening, and then the king dies. The Fool thinks Fitz did it, but Fitz didn't do it, and he knows who did it, and Wallace is screaming, going, oh my god, the king's dead, because he came back. And he's like, the king's dead, the king's dead, the king's dead. And it was Fitz who did it. Fitz grabs the king's dagger and runs to Serene's room, which used to be Galen's room, and there he finds Justin and Serene trying to get into his mind to, harm him or whatever. And so, what happens is that Fitz kills Serene, Justin flees, he follows Justin. Now at this point, Ketchikan has been whisked away, and the Fool's been whisked away by Shade, and they've been sent on their way with Night Eyes to Burge, and Burge has sent them on their way to wherever the safety they're going. Molly's disappeared at this point too. Now, when he gets up and kills Justin, he says it's for the king, King Shrewd, who these two people killed. And then he's fighting off against all of the people from Tilth and Farrow who have come for Regal's little whatever happiness that he's got going on. And then he doesn't fight Blade, and then someone knocks him out. And then he wakes up in a chamber in the dungeons, and Patience is like, I'm going to try and do everything I can for you. I don't believe you did it. King Shrewd's dead, but I don't think you did it. And all this stuff. Talking about how you used the wit to kill the king. And then Duke Brondy, who is the Duke of Burns, and the other two dukes of the other two shorelines, because there's 4 ocean shorelines. The Shokes, Ripon, Buck, and Burns. Buck is where the king usually is. Farrow and Tilth were actually conquered states that became part of the 6 duchies. And so, Shokes, Ripon, and Burns, dukes, are all like, you have to prove to us, find witnesses, find whatever you need, to prove that he can use the wit. And we'll let you kill him the way you want to kill him. If you can't, he gets to go free and he becomes the one in control of Buck. That's our law. That's what we want. Or else you'll forever be waiting to be king and waiting. You'll never be king, because you'll always be waiting until this happens. So, Fitz is left down there for several days, and then after that happens, he's put forth to torture. And by torture, I mean like Will is trying to get into his mind to make him do wit magic or to get a confession out of him through the skill, while Regal's men are beating the shit out of him. And at first he tries fighting, blocking and dodging, but then he's just like, let him do it. But the 4th time he knocks out, he gets shoved back into his thing. Burge goes down there, screaming and hollering, spits in his face, saying how you did all this to me, it's all your fault. He said, better off you just be dead. Just lay down and die. And that's when he finds a porcupine quill, which had gotten into Night Eyes. He had to convince Night Eyes to go to Burge to get it out, because he wasn't there to get it out himself. And inside that is a little pill that will slow down his breathing and everything. He thinks it will kill him, but what it will do is slow down his breathing to the point where he'll almost be dead. His body will be like it's dead. And so he doesn't know what to do about it, but he takes out the poison that he was going to use on Wallace, grabs in his hand and puts that in his cup, and then he just waits. So when Regal brings him out again to try to get him to do the whip magic once more, he taunts Regal into getting up and coming closer to him, and he had the plan of smashing this all into Regal's face so Regal will die from it. But Will sees the intentions of it, pulls Regal out of the way, and Fitz pushes some of it into Will's face and nose. But they don't know about the dust or anything like that, so they think Fitz did something to him or somebody kicked him, because they all went down in a pile. Except for Regal. They check on Fitz to see if he's alive. And all this, before that happened, Night Owl was saying, come with me, leave your body behind and come with me. And for a whole night, he left his body and went with him, but when the morning came, he was dragged back into his body. So he finally realizes what's wanted, but he doesn't know how to do it. So he takes the medicine that he was given that will slow down his body, and then he just walks off, and he's with Night Eyes. Can you please get down? And they have their wolf days with Night Eyes. He's sitting there having fun, riding with Night Eyes, enjoying being a wolf, not worrying about nothing or anyone else in any way, shape, or form. And then there's this voice that says, come back, come back, come back. So he goes back, and he's like, this body here is for you. This is your body. Now, he doesn't know how long he was gone for at first. and he doesn't understand what's going on. But he does go back to his body and becomes human once more. And it hasn't been very long. What he does learn is that Patience asked for the body since Fitz died. Obviously, Patience wanted the buried body instead of being burned, and Regal gave it up because he didn't get his spectacle hanging and burning. And he left. Patience believes he's dead. Regal believes he's dead. Molly left him for good. Burge and Shade are the only ones who knew is that he's alive again and he's separate from the wolf. And for him, he's like, I don't even know if I'm actually back in my body. I don't even know if this body belongs to me. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's my body. And like, he did technically die in it. So the Dukes did not get what they wanted, and Regal had his witness. And his witness that was that little girl. That little girl who saw Fitz at the waterway, at the well. She saw it and said that he turned into a man from a wolf. She didn't see it right, obviously. So that's what he was going to deny. And he wanted him to do wit magic to prove that he still had it. But, Fitz came back to life and he had nothing save his king. So what he was going to do was that he was going to go after Regal. To end Regal. Because Regal's the reason why everything ended. And he has literally nothing to his name. Or anything like that. So, the last one is going to be Assassin's Quest, which is basically his quest to kill Regal and set things to right. And really, the last half of the book is when all the real stuff happens. This is like the setup, and this is like all the shit that hits the fan. What the accumulation of the setup is for it. Now, it does slightly suffer from middle book syndrome in that way, but the way Robin Hobb uncurls it all, like the white ship, that's like a ghost ship, the raiders getting more braver and doing everything, and Regal's little manipulations towards his own father, because his father's already in pain, already taken herbs to dull the pain, which dulls his senses, which dulls him, getting Serena and Justin and Will and the coterie to all be a part of him thanks to his half-brother fucking Galen. So it's just all accumulations of everything that's happened. And his brief love with Molly is in there too, to bring him down and lose his concentration. And the fact that Shade leaves for a while and he doesn't know what to do on his own, and he's got no one commanding him. So he's like all over the place. It really is. So my favorite character in this would have to be Night Eyes. Because Night Eyes is simple. He's a wolf. And he only cares about going out hunting, finding a warm place to fall asleep, playing around, having fun, living his life, and not worrying about nothing. But he lets himself come and worry about Fitz, his brother. His brother in all things but blood. In his mind, you're part of the pack. You're pack. You're not the leader of the pack, but you're leader of the pack. And Burge is part of the pack, because Burge, even though he doesn't talk to them, he listens to the animals and heals them. So my most disliked character is Regal. Because Prince Regal just wanted to be king, and he literally went about it in the most miserable, slow-ass way possible of torturing his father to death. You evil fucking bastard. As memorable. The Elder Rings are real. And Verity's gone off to get them. And everything that Verity is doing, even though he's injured now, and even though he's far from home, and his father's dead, and his brother is the reason why his father's dead, and his wife is fleeing Buck to go back home to her mountain home. Hopefully she makes it there with their unborn child in fear of their lives. That's literally the accumulation of the whole book, and it's because Verity is set on doing this on his own. Of course, his people never would have gone very far, because Regal's people would have killed him anyways, because guess who was listening on everything and telling Regal everything? You thought it was Serena and Justin and Willie somehow skilling to get the information, or Regal's spies. They really did have a spy. There was a little girl that served Ketchikan, and her name was Rosemary. And Rosemary was the fucking spy that told Regal everything, because she's a child and nobody cares about a child and everything and all the secrets and everything. He knew everything because of her. Oh my fucking god. Can you believe that? I understand he was probably manipulating the child in a way that made sense to the poor child, because she's probably scared of Regal or whatever, because Regal's a bastard, because he was scaring Molly too. I mean, like, he literally had Molly beaten up and laughed at, and was told that she was going down there to do things for the Fitz, even though the Fitz couldn't leave, because he learned that day that he couldn't leave Buckkeep, and she got tortured for it, saying she was like the whore of the Fitz and all this stuff, even though she had been down there to get stuff for her own candle making and had nothing to do with anything to do with Fitz at all. So now we know the Elderlings are alive, but we don't know where they are. We don't know what Verity's going to do. We don't know whether or not Verity's going to come back alive. We know Ketchikan has a kid. Fitz died, and now he's come back to life. Well, he was a wolf. He technically didn't die. His body almost died. His mind left his body. But he's back. And his mission is quite simple. Kill Prince Regal. My favorite passage, I don't think I even did a favorite passage in this. I think I did just quotes, because quotes are just awesomer. Actually, I do have a passage. So, when they confess, Fitz and Molly confess to each other that they love each other, and it's like, so finally I kissed her. In the moment of that kiss, somewhere near Buckkeep, a wolf lifted up his voice in a joyous ululation that set every hound to baying and every dog to barking, in a chorus that rang against the brittle night sky. Celebrations of love, celebrations of love. Yeah. Celebrations of love. Alright, my favorite quote is definitely this. I wish your father were alive and king in waiting, and I his right-hand man still. He would be telling me what tasks I must tackle, and I'd be doing as he asked. I would be at peace with myself, no matter how hard I might work, for I would be sure he knew best. You know how easy it is, Fitz, to follow a man you believe in? He's like my prince. I believe I do. Because he believes in Verity. Verity wishes his brother was still alive. Verity wishes that Fitz was born to Lady Patience instead of who it was. Verity wishes that even though Fitz was a bastard, he wishes his brother had stayed king in waiting and took Fitz in and made Fitz a prince. And that he could just do what his brother wanted him to do. Be his right-hand man still. And they would have kept Regal at bay. Because Chivalry was a fucking badass person, although they killed him anyways. So, yeah. What is about the ending of the book? Well, I'm really glad Fitz is alive, that he was unburied, that his body was unburied, and that his flesh was still alive, and it wasn't that bad. He's got probably months, if not a year or two of physical recovery for his body to get back into shape enough and do what he needs to do. And we're going to hop into that in Assassin's Quest when we get it pulled, hopefully soon. Because that means I'll be part of a series down. Yeah, so that's what I'm hoping on. So I got my fingers crossed for. And I'm really happy about it. I mean, like, there's some things that I did forget and some things that I need to be reminded of in this, because it's been a while since I've read this. But the way Robin Hobb weaves her story and her characters and how they move, talk, speak, the inflections of them, the emittances that they have, the way the world unfolds, because you didn't know much about the six duchies in the first one, because Fitz didn't know a lot about the six duchies in the first one, and in this one he's learned so much more about it. You get to know that Pharaoh and Tilth had a roaming people, and Pharaoh had farmers, and when the queen conquered them and made them part of the six duchies, they actually were forced to be part of it before they rose up and became more, and that the other ones were already a part of it, and that they were already super loyal, and that actually it was a foreign islander, an out-islander, who landed in Buck and declared himself king and made everything what it is. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. The Red Ship Raiders are still part of the coastal problem. They're still causing all kinds of stuff. We still don't know how they're doing the foraging, why the Red Raiders are so crazed themselves. We don't really know. But they're there now, and they will get taken care of. I know that much. I remember that much in Assassin's Quest. They do get taken care of, and that ends there. But there are some things that I actually misread or something. I'm thinking about it in the 20 Man, because that's like 3 books after. This is like after Fitz's journey here. You get the Tawny Man, and there's some shit that happens in that I got confused with this one. So, the refresher was needed. I'll admit, the refresher was needed. What book did it remind me of? Royal Assassin did not remind me of really anything, because I've never read anything like the Assassins, the Farseer trilogy, that actually kept my attention. If you want to go back, you could go back to, The Legend of the Wolves by Alice Brochard, I think it was, or whatever her first name was. Hers was set in medieval-ish world, in its own world, little set off, and there was a man who could turn, a wolf that could turn into a man, and some people who could turn into wolves. But this is more like they can't actually turn into the animal. They can really go away from they can disconnect themselves from their body and go into their chosen animal and live with that animal. And as long as they came back to their body would be fine. But they could also disconnect permanently and live with the animal forever and forget that they're even human, because they're just so interconnected. And that's what was happening to Fitz for a little while. He was forgetting that he was not human. He was a wolf. He thought he was a wolf. And so when he got left behind in the body, and Night Eyes felt betrayed by that, because, Night Eyes just wanted Fitz with him. It's like a deep connection, and it upset Night Eyes a lot to lose Fitz. It upset him so much that he howled, sadly. Fitz, of course, didn't like the reconnection into his own body, bruised, broken, and definitely in need of a lot of healing to get back up to what it was. If he could have, he would have stayed out of that body and never gone back to it, because he didn't really want to deal with the politics of being a human. But now he has to. So yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Legend of the Wolf series. But I like this a lot more, because the way Robin Hobb writes her story is much more deeper than the Legend of the Wolves in a lot of sense. So, yeah. This book is part of a series. It's part of 2 series, technically. The Realm of the Elderlings, which is, of course, about a 15-book series. And then you have also the Farseer trilogy, which is what this is part of. This is the 2nd book in the Farseer trilogy, and the 3rd book in the Realm of the Elderlings. So we have that there so far. It's pretty good. I rate this a 5 out of 5, even though it's a second book and it suffers from some of the second book middle syndrome. It still keeps you hanging the way Fitz is. Who Fitz is. My wrist is starting to hurt a little bit from all this moving. I think it's because earlier when I iced it, I didn't think I iced it for very well. Or for very long. And maybe I should have iced it for more. But it's really starting to hurt. But Robin Hobb's world is so addictive to me. I love it. And I can't wait to read more of it. Like, there's no way I can't wait to get my hands on the last one for this series. So I can go on and actually read for the first time the Live Ship Trader series. Because I haven't read that, but I know that's supposed to go before The 20 Man and after The Farseer. I didn't own the books, but now I do. And I am super fucking excited to read those 4 books. No, 3 books. And then get back into the Tawny series. And then read the Rain Wild Chronicles, which is a 4-book series. And then read the last 3. The last 3 books in that series. So I'm excited. We're getting somewhere in this. And it's super excited. You guys don't understand. I read this book a while ago, and it's something I never thought in all my life that I would love books like this, where there's more meat to it. That it's a lot like what Stephen King does. Stephen King does a lot of meat for his, but his seem irrelevant in a way because there's a lot of people that he introduces that he kills off like almost immediately. In this, there's people that are introduced and they're killed off, or there's people that are introduced and they don't have very long screen time, but it's just the way the worlds are built, the way the worlds are described. She has a great prose for how she writes, and I got addicted to it, and I can't wait to read all of it because it's fascinating to me, is what it is. And I forget what who the Elderlings are in this, but I do know that the Live Ship Traders has live ships. That's something I can't wait for. There's just something about the subtlety of the magic in this world. The wit is something part of your mind. The skill is something part of your mind. But it's not for everybody. Not everybody has it. Not everybody can do the skills. Not everybody can do the wit. Not everybody can do both. Like Birch has the wit, but he doesn't have the skill. Fitz has the skill and the wit. Of course, a lot of the wit comes from the Farseer line that we know of when we read The Willful Princess and The Piebald Prince. Because the Piebald Prince is a wit. While his mother had been a skill, his father had been a wit. He was a wit, and his son, who became prince, who became king, was also part of the wit. So the wit and the skill are something that is passed down in the Farseer line. We don't really know much more about his mother. We never really learn much more about his mother. I really wish, that's the one thing I really wish, is that we would have learned more about his mother and his mother's family. That's what I really wished. Really wish would happen. To know where his mother was, where his mother came from, what his mother gave him. But anyways, we're gonna stop raving and ranting about this wonderful book that I just... Oh my gosh, you don't understand. I hate that Regal was working on Molly, and I hate that Fitz couldn't just get with Molly, and I hate that Molly left, and Even though she loves him, she couldn't stay with him. And it's just a lot of things happen in Fitz's life that makes it so hard for Fitz. So hard for Fitz to be Fitz. To be a person. And I feel so bad about it. Because Fitz at this point in the book is like 15, 16 years old. He is literally not even lived half a lifetime as of all these adults have. And he's just had the worst luck of it all. All because his father got some common woman pregnant. Just the worst luck. Anyways, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. Again, wrong outro. If you guys think I deserve a like, comment, or even your lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below. I will see you next illusion.